You're almost asleep. That warm, heavy feeling where your thoughts start to melt and the day finally lets go of you. You're sinking, and then out of nowhere, you're falling. Your stomach lurches, your whole body jerks, your arms fly out to catch yourself, and you snap wide awake, heart pounding, gripping the mattress. Except there was no edge, no cliff, no stairs. You were lying perfectly still in your own bed the entire time. So, what just happened? Why does your brain, in the exact moment you're about to get the rest you need, throw your whole body off an imaginary ledge? This little event is so common it has a name. Scientists call it a hypnic jerk, or a sleep start. And if you felt it, you are very much not alone. Studies suggest that somewhere around 60 to 70% of people experience these jerks, and many of them happen without you ever fully remembering. It is one of the most ordinary things a human body does. And once you understand what's actually causing it, it turns from something that feels like a glitch into a strange little window into the moment your brain hands control of your body from one system to another. So let me show you what's really happening in that instant you fall. By the end, you'll understand what the jerk physically is, the strange handover happening in your brain as you drift off, the leading theory that it's an ancient survival reflex left over from creatures who slept in trees, the reason your brain invents a whole falling dream to go with it, and why some nights it happens over and over while other nights you sink straight into sleep without a single twitch. Let's start with the jerk itself, because it's more precise than it feels. What you're experiencing is a sudden, involuntary contraction of your muscles, usually the legs, sometimes the arms, sometimes your entire body all at once. Doctors call this kind of quick muscle twitch a myoclonus. It's the same family of movement as the hiccup, or that little twitch your leg sometimes does when you're wide awake. It's fast, it's involuntary, and it's completely outside your control. The difference with a hypnic jerk is the timing. It strikes at one very specific moment, the threshold between being awake and being asleep. Never in deep sleep, never fully awake. Right on the border. And that border is the key to the whole mystery, because falling asleep is not like flipping a light switch. It feels instant, but it isn't. There's a strange, blurry in-between zone you pass through every single night, and most nights you don't remember it at all. Scientists call this state hypnagogia. It's the twilight between waking and sleeping, and it's a genuinely bizarre place. It's where you get those drifting, melting thoughts that stop making sense. It's where you might see flashes of color or faces or random images behind your eyelids. It's where you hear your name called, or a doorbell that didn't ring. Your brain is halfway into the dream world while your body is still halfway in this one, and the hypnic jerk lives right in the middle of that overlap. So here is the first real theory for why it happens, and it's about a handover. While you're awake, there's a network deep in your brainstem keeping you alert, keeping your muscles toned, keeping you online. As you start to fall asleep, a different set of systems, the sleep-promoting ones, begins to take over. They start dialing down that alertness network and sending the signal to your muscles to power down and go limp. Now, in a perfect world, that handover would be smooth and gradual, like a dimmer switch easing the lights down. But your brain is not a perfect machine. Sometimes the two systems overlap. The wake system hasn't fully let go just as the sleep system is pulling your muscles offline. And in that messy moment of transition, a stray burst of electrical activity can fire down to your muscles and trigger that sudden contraction. By this view, the hypnic jerk is basically a hiccup in the handover. Two systems fumbling the handoff, and your leg pays for it. That explains the mechanics. But it doesn't quite explain the feeling. Because a random muscle twitch is one thing, the overwhelming gut-dropping sense that you are physically falling is something else. And that's where the second, much more interesting theory comes in. Think about what's actually happening to your body in that moment. Your muscles are going slack. The constant low-level tension that holds your limbs in place all day is suddenly switching off. Now, your brain is always quietly monitoring your body's position and tension, a sense called proprioception. And here's the idea. When all that muscle tension vanishes so quickly, one part of your brain may misread it. It doesn't interpret it as we are safely lying down and relaxing. It interprets that sudden loss of tension as something much older and more alarming. We are falling. We've lost our support. We're dropping. And so it slams on the emergency brakes. It fires a jolt of activity to tense your muscles and fling out your limbs, a reflex to catch yourself, to grab onto something before you hit the ground. And why would a brain be wired to do that? This is the part that's genuinely haunting. One leading idea traces it all the way back to our distant primate ancestors, the ones who slept in trees. For an animal that sleeps on a branch, the moment of falling asleep is genuinely dangerous. The exact instant your muscles relax is the instant you might actually slip and plummet. So a built-in reflex that says, if you feel yourself going limp and dropping, jerk awake and grab the branch would have been life-saving. The ones who had that twitchy little safety check were the ones who didn't fall out of the tree in the night. And the theory goes that we, sleeping safely in our beds millions of years later, still carry that ancient alarm. Your body is running survival software written for a branch 30 feet off the ground, firing in a memory foam mattress where there is nothing to fall from at all. But there's still one piece missing, and it might be the strangest of all. A lot of people don't just feel the jerk. They get a whole little scene to go with it. You miss a step on a staircase, you trip off a curb, you slip off the edge of something, a tiny, vivid flash of falling perfectly timed to the jerk. So where does the story come from? Here's the likely answer, and it flips the order of events you'd assume. You probably think the falling dream causes the jerk, that you dreamed you fell and so your body reacted. But most researchers think it's the other way around. The jerk comes first. The sudden muscle contraction and that misread sense of falling happen first as a physical event. And then your half-dreaming brain, sitting in that hypnagogic twilight, is suddenly hit with this jolt of falling sensation and scrambles to explain it. It does what brains do best. It makes up a story. In a split second, it generates a quick little narrative. A staircase, a missed step, a curb, anything that would justify the feeling of falling you just had. The dream isn't the cause. The dream is the cover story. Your brain felt the drop and reverse engineered a reason for it, faster than you could ever consciously notice. It's a beautiful little example of something your brain does all the time without telling you. It feels a sensation first and then writes the explanation second, and stitches them together so seamlessly that it feels like one smooth event. You don't experience twitch, then confusion, then invented story. You experience, I was walking downstairs and I fell. The seam is invisible. That's how good your brain is at hiding its own work. So now we understand the jerk, the falling feeling, and the dream. But there's one last question. Why do some nights bring jolt after jolt, while other nights you drop into sleep without a single one? It turns out the hypnic jerk has triggers, and they all point in the same direction. They tend to happen more when your wake system is fired up at the very moment your sleep system is trying to take over, because that makes the messy, overlapping handover much more likely. So caffeine too late in the day keeps your alertness network buzzing when it should be winding down. Stress and anxiety do the same thing, your mind racing while your body tries to shut off. Intense exercise close to bedtime leaves your system revved up. And being seriously sleep deprived or exhausted can actually make them worse because your body slams into sleep so hard and fast that the transition becomes even more abrupt and clumsy. In other words, the calmer and more gradual your wind down, the smoother the handover, and the less likely your brain is to fumble it. The more wired and rushed you are, the more chances for that stray spark to fire. Which means the jerk isn't a malfunction at all. It's a side effect of one of the most delicate things your brain does every single night, taking you offline. Every time you fall asleep, your brain has to peel you out of waking consciousness and lower you into unconsciousness without anything going wrong, switching off your muscles, loosening your grip on the world, handing control from one network to another. It does this thousands of times across your life, almost always flawlessly. The hypnic jerk is just the rare night you happen to catch it in the act, the one moment the seam shows. So the next time you're drifting off and the floor suddenly drops out from under you, and you lurch awake clutching the sheets, you'll know exactly what just happened. Your muscles went quiet a little too fast. An ancient part of your brain, still half convinced you're asleep in a tree, mistook that stillness for falling and threw out a reflex to catch you. And your dreaming mind, scrambling to keep up, wrote a quick story about a missing step to explain it all. You weren't falling. You were just falling asleep. And for one strange second, you got to feel the machinery of your own brain handing you over to the dark.